Good afternoon, guys. Now we will start the discussion for our first topic of our module 4, which is fire and safety. So our remaining topics are fire and safety, housekeeping, uh, first aid, and basic life support. So these are the four topics that we need to discuss on module 4. So let's start with fire and safety. We as caregiver, uh, we are responsible to know what is or how we will help patient in case of fire, because we don't know anytime fire can happen. Okay, so first let us check what are the three elements of fire. If you have these three uh, substance, you can create a fire. First is you have the oxygen, you have the heat, you have the fuel. So fuel, it can be wood, paper, grass, or clothing. Air, actually oxygen, but that's part of air. So if you're in the hospital, if you're working in the hospital, okay, there is a risk of fire because there are lots of oxygen in the hospital or any nursing homes. Then you also have heat, a catalyst to start the fuel and oxygen combustion. So if you have these three, you can create fire. So we have different types of extinguishers we are using uh, to extinguish the fire. First is the type A, B, C, and D. For type A, usually it's extinguishing wood, paper, cloth, trash, and other ordinary materials. B, liquids, gasoline, grease, oil, and paints. C is for electric equipment or live electrical equipment. And letter D, combustible metals like copper, like that. Then, as caregiver, we should always remember the acronym RACE and PASS. So it's the easiest way to remember the fire and safety. So you should remember RACE and PASS. So R is for rescue, A is for alarm, C is for contain, and E is for extinguish. So let's see one by one. For rescue or remove, never use elevator. Okay, if there's any case of fire in your facility, you need to rescue the patient using the stair. Okay, don't use the elevators. Then who will you evacuate first in case of fire? The ambulatory, or we are calling them the mobilized patient or walking patient, or the non-ambulatory or the non-walking patient or bedridden patient. So the right answer is you should rescue first the ambulatory patients. So maybe you're wondering why. It's because ambulatory patient can help you to evacuate other non-ambulatory patients. So that's the reason. Most patient charts with, you also evacuate the patient's charts with the patient. A, R for rescue or remove. A is for alarm. Do not use elevator again, only use the stairs. Close the door, reassure all patients and visitors. Listen for all clear code. Each hospital or each facility, they have codes. For our hospital, we are using code red if there is a case of fire. So during your orientation, you will know what's the code in case of fire. It's included in your orientation. Next is C for confine. So if you're evacuating patient, you should close the door after you go out of the room. Okay? So to confine or to contain the fire, door, you should close the door and the windows. Then you need to extinguish. E is for extinguish. So extinguishing the fire, there are 4 steps. So that is the pass. P-A-S-S. P for pull the pin in the handle. A for aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. And S, squeeze the lever slowly. And S again, sweep from side to side. I will repeat how you will extinguish the fire using the acronym PASS. P for pull the pin in the handle, A for aim the nozzle, and S squeeze the lever slowly, and S sweep from the side to side. So how we can prevent fire as caregiver? First, first and foremost, we need to identify the emergency exit. Then, have an emergency plan and practice leaving the building, practice in darkness or using blindfolds. Install smoke alarms. Each buildings have smoke alarms. Then, always check the batteries of these smoke alarms. Usually, it is changed every 6 months. Because if the battery is already expired, so you need to replace it because nothing, it will not be, it will not detect smoke if it's expired. Have a fire extinguisher and know how to use it, which is the pass. If someone uses a wheelchair, consider extra steps. Leave or sleep near an exit, and then keep a phone near the bed and wheelchair. Then if you're cooking, you should never leave your stove open after you cook. Or unattended, wear tight-fitting clothing. Because if you wear loose-fitting while you're cooking, maybe your clothes will touch the fire. If food or grease catches fire, smother the flames. Slide a lid over the pan and turn off the heat. Make sure the stove is kept clean always because grease can build up fire. Turn pot handles away from the front of the stove and never put foil or other metals in the microwave because it will cause fire. A person should not smoke in bed. Always remember that it's not allowed in the hospital or any facilities with oxygen tanks to smoke, okay, because it will create fire. Remember, one elements of fire is oxygen. Do not smoke near oxygen. So we have allotted areas for those patients who are smoking. So you should always instruct the patient that they should follow that. Then do not smoke under the influence of alcohol because maybe you forgot, uh, you're not aware that you're throwing the cigarette in uh, the place where there is uh, where there is papers, etc. Then never leave smoking materials unattended. Always have an ashtray. Then check around furniture, easily upholstered furniture for any discarded or smoldering smoking materials. Then keep electric space heaters at least 3 feet from anything that can burn. Then make sure kerosene heaters are never run on gasoline or any substitute fuel. The heating system and the chimneys should be checked and cleansed once a year because if there's a buildup again of uh, dust particles there or any fire creating material, it can create fire. Then, open fireplaces can be hazardous. They should be covered with tempered glass doors. Then never store fuel for heating equipments in home. Never use also an appliance with exposed wire. Okay, you should always buy the good quality of wires. Okay, because you never know if you bought a low cost and it will be broken, it can cause fire and electrocution also for you. If an appliance begin to smell suspicious or see smoke, unplug it immediately. Never overload extension cords or outlets. Electric blankets or heating pads should conform to the appropriate standards and have overheating protection. Use only tested and UL listed electrical appliance. Don't be fond of buying Chinese products who is very cheap and you don't know the quality. Consider using new heat generating pads or blankets in place of electric ones. Then turn heating pads off when the person falls. When you're using oxygen, a very important reminder to your patient is don't smoke near the oxygen. Okay, always place oxygen at least 3 feet from an electric space heater. Put up signs stating that oxygen is in use to remind the visitors that it's not allowed to smoke in the room. So that is about fire and safety. So always remember, for fire and safety, race and pass.